Hi all, it's Budget Sniper here. Just doing a quick video on leaf suit building. Parts we're going over is how I dye my leaves. The leaves I use are these cheap ones from eBay. I picked up roughly about 200 for, I think it was about £5. You look out for the deals though. You can get a pretty good part, roughly about, I think you can run for about a tenner for about 500. But obviously I was just trying to find these ones to obviously to get the job done. Parts I'm going to be using today is acrylic ink. I tried the iodized stuff and I couldn't get on with it. Obviously you've got to boil them in water and everything else. I just found it a bit of a nightmare. So I just moved on to the part of using acrylic ink instead. The ink I use is this stuff. I watched a YouTube video on kicking Mustang, and I think it was AIRSOFT Cam Man as well, uses the same stuff. This stuff's absolutely brilliant. You get it from Hobbycraft, or you can get it from eBay. They're roughly about £8 a pop. This one pot is obviously, I've still got some left. I've done a good 1,500 leaves with this, and it's still going strong. You don't really need to add that much to it to colour them over, because you don't want to saturate them too much. But the stuff I use, I've got this one in green and I've also got it in brown as well. So first things first, you're going to do, obviously when you get your leaves, they're going to come in a pack like this, pack of 50. What you want to do when you open them up, they come in quite thick stacks like this, and when you peel them apart they're still coming like this. So unfortunately when it comes to it, you've got to peel them all separate. Best thing to do is obviously just going through. It can be quite time consuming, but you strip them all down. Obviously they do come apart quite easy. As you can see, you're just sifting them through. But you've got to do that for all of them. Unfortunately, you don't want to just crack straight on with these as they are. What you need to do is, I'll give you a sort of example. So what I do with my leaves is I stick them in a pillowcase. When you take off this pillowcase, you put as many leaves as you want in at a time. I did about 150 in one go. And what you do is you put them in the pillowcase. Before you tie the pillowcase up, that's what I advise you to do. Put a load of fabric softener in there. It doesn't need to be really expensive stuff, just normal fabric softener. Cheap stuff will actually do. I then tie the bag up. I then throw it in the washing machine for about 15 minutes, half an hour. Get them all nice and soft. They go from this to this. Don't know if you can pick up on the camera, but yeah, they're all nice and soft. I said I've got a full load of handful here, and they actually come out obviously nice and soft rather than obviously quite rigid. I mean, you can tell the difference obviously with certain parts of them as well. So I advise you to give them a good old wash through. Give them a good old wash through. Get them all nice and pliable, and go from there. Once you've done that, let them dry naturally. I've seen obviously other videos that they put them on a hairdryer and dry them from there. I just let them dry naturally. Leave them in the bag, stick them on the radiator for a bit, leave it in the bag as it is, let them dry off all naturally, and they come off nice and soft, which is absolutely fine. But like I said, you'll go from quite sort of rickety, noisy like that to this. From that to that. Well, I think it helps as well, obviously with the putting it in with fabric softener. When it obviously softens up, it makes it a lot more easier for the ink to sort of get inside and to sort of soak through to the actual leaves themselves. Obviously it gives them that bit more natural kind of look as well. So what we're going to do is, tools obviously you're going to need acrylic ink, plastic bag. Quite don't need. I did have a bigger one before, but I'm just using this one for just obviously show you guys and do it. So what I do first, obviously I take my acrylic ink. I'm going to go for more of a brown one first. So take that, dribble it in the bag. Like I said, you don't need overly a lot, depending on how many leaves you're doing, but it depends how dark you want it. It's absolutely fine. Then take a few drops of water. You don't need to do too much, just a few drops will be fine. Okay, don't need to be very much. And what you do then is, the more leaves you put in, I think the easier you may find it, because it sort of, the leaves don't come out absolutely saturated. If they come out saturated, they take a little bit longer to dry. For me, if they're absolutely saturated, they may not look as good. So I've got roughly about 30, 35 here. So throw them in. Tie off the bag ever so slightly. Let all the air out, and then give it a good old tie up. Okay, and all you do, give it a good old rummage. You will end up with a little bit of ink on your hands, you can tell, but it's inevitable, that's what's going to happen. But give them a good bit of a rub, get them all nice and saturated. Okay, so I'm actually going to put a little bit of green in these ones, just to see how they come out. Like I said, I've got roughly about 200 leaves I had to do, and I've done about 80, 90 leaves already, so I've got a few more to go. But open the bag up, have a quick look inside, see how they're looking up. Yeah, they're looking, yeah, nice and saturated. Might throw a little bit of green in there just to see how we get on. Not too much. Okay, and we'll repeat the process. Tie it off. Like I said, if you get a bigger bag, obviously you'll find it a little bit easier to do. I've just got small bags at the moment, so I'm just using these ones just for demonstration purposes. Okay, gets absolutely everywhere. This stuff's an absolute nightmare. Right. Then, when you think you're ready for them, open up the bag, get yourself a tray of some sort, or something to just obviously let the leaves sit on. I've got a part of my box here, which I'm just going to lay down. And what you do, dump them all out. And what you can do then, give them a quick look over. If you're happy with them, leave them as they are. If you're not, obviously just throw them back in the bag with a little bit more colour and see how you're getting on. But what I advise you to do is as well, they will get a little bit sticky on certain parts. So what I advise you to do is, it does get a bit messy, but separating them off. They don't have to be all completely spaced out in one little nice little neat lines or anything. Just obviously get them all spaced out. Let's helps them dry a little bit more, a little bit quicker. Okay, and there we are. It's pretty much as simple as it gets. Let them dry, see how they come out, and you sort of go from there. It's obviously trial and error on certain points of adding a certain colour. I mean, you can see from this one here, it's got a nice, it won't stay that glossy colour. It's obviously just because it's wet, but it's got nice green colour parts to it, a nice little brown bit to it as well. What I do, like I said, I obviously like a mixture. I sometimes might just do a full batch of brown or a full batch of green, but at the moment I'm using all these because my leaf suit's sort of a multi-part of it. It uses, I'm sort of all year rounder kind of thing. It's got quite a nice few colours to it. So what we do now is leave these to dry, and here's some I did yesterday, just to obviously make things a little bit quicker on the imagery. But these are the ones I did yesterday, and this is how they come out. I don't know about you, but I think they look pretty good. It's a nice little mixture of colours. That one still looks a bit glossy, doesn't it? Ooh, might not be able to use that one. But all depends how you want to do it. As I said, when you look at one side, it looks absolutely fine. You look at the other side, it looks really glossy. But no, they're coming out quite nice. As you can see, one's here as well. Look, that's no gloss on it at all. It's just all nice and neat. But loads of different colours that are coming through it. Like I said, we used green and brown. They come out in all different kind of colours, and like these, they're actually quite nice. My advice to you as well, when obviously getting the leaves themselves, go for, if you can get them, go for these colours. These colours work so much better than the other colours. I've tried the yellow ones and I've tried the red ones as well. The red ones aren't too bad. The yellow ones are an absolute nightmare to deal with because they just don't, the colour's so much more difficult to get away from. But these ones, these green ones, are absolutely perfect for me. But yeah, obviously they all come out, like I said, as you can see on there, all different nice colours and sort of mixtures. And then when you go over to the thingy parts as well, as you can see, this one's all quite a lot of it. It's quite dark at certain points as well. So those are obviously the ones I did before. And how I go about these, put these back in the bag. I go about these with attaching them with, if I can find it. So I attach them directly to my leaf suit. I use 3 methods. One method is the good old zip tie. You can either get green, black or brown. It's entirely up to you. It's entirely your preference. Old trial and error part as well, which can take an absolute age to do, is tying them on individually using Raffia. Obviously, you want to colour parts of this Raffia up. Doing exactly what I've just done with the leaves, you can do with this Raffia as well. It takes a little bit longer part to do it because it's quite it doesn't absorb it as much as you want it to, as much as the leaves and that do, sorry. So what you do, obviously this takes a little bit longer to do, but obviously it still works. But if you're going to attach over 1,500, nearly 2,000 leaves by hand, you've got a lot of time. If you've got enough time to do that, that's absolutely fine. Other way of doing it, which is a little bit of a cheap way I think I do it, I use this stuff, FlexiGo. It's like an epoxy sort of fabric glue, if you like. So this stuff I get quite cheap. I think it was £2 a pop. I think this stuff's absolutely brilliant. It dries completely clear. Well, obviously when you've attached it to the leaves itself, obviously straight on, and then you stick it straight to your suit. I've used it for God knows how long now. Got quite a few tubes of this. I think you can get this from the 99p shop as well, to be honest, which actually works out absolutely brilliant. But this stuff is brilliant. This kind of, or fabric glue, you want it to try and dry clear. That's the best part. You don't want any sort of white residue parts on it or anything. It doesn't look great on your suit, and you want to try and don't use too much of it, but obviously you want to use enough to make sure the leaves stick on. I usually place it sort of directly in the middle part of the back part of the leaf here, so obviously when it sits on my suit, it sits on here. I just can do a small example of what I've got. I've got my my head cam I've recently done. This is just the straps I use for my head cam. Is this one here. So don't worry about all this stuff. This was a material part I tried to dye. I'm just going to see if it works with it, because I'm building a hood. But as simple as this is, so as you can see on parts of it, that's what colour it dries. Obviously when the leaf obviously sits down, it sits a lot more natural at certain parts. I've got another leaf to put back on there, but other parts as well, it makes it look, it sticks on. I mean, you can hang it from it and it's not going anywhere. I like to use a mixture obviously of the leaves, so I've got a nice green carp going through there, the browns and everything else. I think it looks quite good, to be honest. I've got it on my, actually glued it directly onto my GoPro. Doesn't extract the image at all when it comes through, but I think obviously that's the way around. It makes it look quite good, hides all the shape and everything else, because that's what you want to try and do. You want to try and break up your silhouette on the actual suit as well. Oh, one of these have dropped off. Oh, I'll re-glue that one, that's fine. I think that was that part there. There you go. But yeah, I think it's obviously it works quite well. I also did it on some my gun wrap, which I made from scratch. Which is this here. So this has got bits and bobs all over it. As you can see, you just want to try and break up as much as the shape and the colour and everything else as well. You just want to get people guessing and everything else. So these are the parts I say. I'll show you one of the parts I used for the trial and error before was one of these. So this was the yellow leaf. As you can still see, I've put spray paint all over it and everything else, and it still breaks through. These were an absolute nightmare to use, so I would advise staying away from the yellows. But I think it obviously it helps out with the colour parts and everything with it. So this was literally a sandbag. I've rolled it up round the barrel, glued it into place using that glue, and then I've got a few mesh parts which I've used to just sort of hold it over part of my barrel, and then some hair ties obviously to hook it round, and that hooks all the way through my barrel and everything else. I've done this on scope cover. I've also done it on my what do you call it? Yeah, my scope cover and my run cam as well, which has got a holder which I've done over the top as well. I've done my gloves. I've done my full suit. I don't know if we can bring it up here if you guys are going to see it. So exactly the same. Like I said, all I've done. Got a I haven't got an overly expensive suit. It's not a Kicking Mustang one, but as simple as it was. So I went to the part of gluing it straight on. It's not going anywhere, but I've also did the time part as well, just to add a bit of parts. I've done the raffia, which I've attached onto as well. Like I said, it is quite time consuming to do. I've only done most of that part on my head, so this is all my part. So I've got a little bit of bright colours in there just to see if it helps obviously mould in with the surroundings and everything else. But this was just a cheap I think £20 suit from eBay. I've just covered it, absolutely covered it as much as I can. I've still got a few patches I want to try and cover up, just like shoulders and everything else as well. And I also did my belt kit. I don't know if you'll be able to see that properly from the image. Let's have a quick see if I can pan out slightly. There you go. So that's my my belt kit. That's a camel pack, obviously going onto the back of the leaves as well. I've used the different parts for my camel pack. So I've got some of these plastic ferns. I tried to find the other ones, but I couldn't locate them in time. And then I've got some of these small RV ones as well, which obviously to me just adds a bit more sort of variety to the actual pack as well. And it's literally just a camel pack with a straps on it and everything else, which I've then also done to my belt kit as well. So covered all the way through. So I've done that with my I've done it with my what do you call it? I've done it with my belt kit. I've done it with my trousers, suit and everything else. And my next job is my hood. It's one of the reasons obviously I've got all these leaves all ready to go, because I'm as soon as my hood turns up, that's another project I'll be doing. But apart from that, it's pretty much as simple as that. Not much else to add to that, to be honest. It's relatively simple to do. It does take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort. Just it depends how much you want to cover everything over, and how many leaves you want to do. If you're just doing it just for sort of a covering for your rifle, or you want to do a leaf suit or anything else, I'm just putting the covers back on that, on your suits and everything else, it's entirely up to you. But these ones are absolutely brilliant. Best ones to obviously go for. Like I said, not overly expensive. Best way to go. Obviously, just take your time with it. You can be a bit creative, see what you can do. Well, thanks very much for that. Guys, got any questions? Don't forget to like, subscribe onto the channel. I am trying to build it up as much as I can. I've not got many videos on there, but as soon as obviously everything's back in, we'll be doing some gameplay, and hopefully I'll get to see my suit in action. Thank you very much.